Hey guys, welcome back. This is Grown and Healthy, the channel where we explore self-improvement through movement. And in this video, I'm going to show my response to the latest Mike Diamond's video of him fixing his flat feet. Now, if you follow this channel, you'll understand that I think that wearing the right shoes and strengthening the foot is the best way to alleviate flat feet. And by flat feet, I'm talking about hyperpronation. We're not talking about having a high arch, which is more of a aesthetic ideal, but even those with high arches still suffer because of the rigidity that their feet have. So understand that the best ground is the middle ground, one where you have a flexible foot, a lower arch, one that is not as rigid in either the high instep or as lax as in the hyperpronated foot.
I've suffered with flat feet for 28 years, also called Pes Planus. If you have flat feet, you may notice that most, if not all, of the bottom of your foot comes into contact with the ground when you stand. The absence of an arch in your foot is also known as a flat foot. Most feet should look like this. Most of my life, I thought it was harmless. I was wrong. My feet and my back were always in pain, and I failed to stand for long durations at the hospital due to the pain caused by my flat feet, which over time resulted in even spinal deviation. On top of that, with all the walking I do, it felt like constant discomfort. So one method of treatment is physical therapy, and this was my first experience. And my second one.
I don't know who needs to tell you, but if somebody has a hammer and a chisel on your body, we're not going to take that seriously. So that chiropractor is more entertainment than actual benefit. So they've moved up a step from the actual manual myofascial release to now using a Theragun with a narrow head.
Like it's starting to loosen it up just a little bit, warm it up. Cut and paste definition of what, in the layman's terms, what dry needling does, is that when we dry needles our palpate, meaning like feel, try find we call it a tender nodule within a taut band of the muscle. That's like the proper definition. So basically a little ball within like a tight band. And then we put the needle straight into that tight ball, and basically what it helps to do, just very layman's terms, helps with the release. Helps release the tension. So a lot of people really love dry needling. Because it really does make a big difference.
And it's a Chinese technique, right?
Yeah, so dry needling is a bit more Western. Okay. So acupuncture is more Eastern.
Okay.
Acupuncture or wet needling.
One thing to note, I have not seen any change in Mike Diamond's footwear choices. So whatever therapy that you're going to go through, if you're going to then put your feet back into narrow toe boxes, elevated heels, toe spring, you're going to bring yourself back to square one.
So I saw someone in Brazil, and he said I have a neuroma on my foot.
He doesn't have a neuroma.
Well, because of the nodule, right? I don't know if you remember when you guys, there was a certain part that was like, he said that was a neuroma.
Okay. We can check it out.
Okay, fun time.
Now, not to overlook the diagnosis, but understand this: your body is encased in fascia, and you can have fascial adhesions. That is mostly what people will find when they have knots, when they have tension in certain spots of their body, that there's an adhesion there, scar tissue. All they need to do is a little rolling, a little Graston work, and movement, and that is usually good enough to alleviate any binding. Oh, so he did come back with the manual technique. Now, how much more effective that is than the Theragun, I doubt it, but Mike seems to have a reaction to the knuckle massage.
It's gonna get a little bit better this time.
You have 4 layers of muscle in the feet. Without proper movement, they will adhere to one another and become like a grilled cheese sandwich. Once you are wearing constricting footwear, such as conventional shoes. Every time that you go through this type of therapy and then you bring it back into the coffins, your feet will again congeal like you did nothing before. So understand, it is not about just the therapy that happens once per month, but it is about living a daily life in which you allow your body to express its full mobility.
One of the smaller sizes we have.
Okay.
30 mils.
Okay. They look big.
No, these are small. So they will go from like, that's the actual needle.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so when we needle, I try to find a tender nodule within a taut band of the muscle, so like pretty much a ball within a tight band.
Yep.
And then I'm putting the needle straight into there, and in simple terms, it helps release the tension of the muscle.
Okay.
So like you feel that in there.
Yeah.
Try to relax me. You feel that jump?
Now, as a person who's done dry needling themselves, not on my feet though, it is an intense, hot feeling, and I can understand his reaction this time more than I did for the myofascial massage or the myofascial release. I can understand where he's coming from this time. It is pretty novel and intense initially.
Try to relax your foot.
He already has one needle in. The shock factor is passed. Once you're putting in the subsequent needles, it is lessened in terms of intensity.
No, wait, come here. Like the video.
Oh my gosh.
Did he really just stop that? Did he go from mid-anxiety to tell you to like the video? This guy's good, man. He's good.
But that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Mm-hmm. It's scary, but it's like good.
As I said, for me the worst one was my hand. I really hated getting my hand healed. But anywhere else, I really loved it. It's like a love-hate relationship. Okay, let me show you some exercises.
Okay, so through that experiment, we see that nothing has changed. There was no reaction nor interaction with the muscle movement. Now, when it comes to dry needling or acupuncture, I think it's great for the mind to see the function of the muscle, to know that their body is capable of actually functioning in the way that they desire. But the problem that I also have is that you have not created the neural link from your mind to the body. There is still no intrinsic trigger by your mind to engage the foot muscle. And that's why I believe that strength training for the feet in the many planes of motion for the foot is the best way to go.
Okay, let me show you some exercises for your,
Gotcha.
for your feet.
Awesome.
Okay, so first one. So start with a small towel, okay?
Okay. Oh, that feels nice. Like
About getting a full contraction. That's working the flexion habits, right? Yeah. Right.
Anytime I see this exercise, I cringe. This, if your goal is supposedly to have a higher instep or to have control over your instep, this is one of the worst exercises that you can perform. It does absolutely nothing for creating that stability. Now, don't get me wrong, it builds strength in your extensors, which in this case for the feet are your toes. Your toe gripping strength is going to be much improved. The arch, your ankle stability, not touched at all. By strengthening this clawing motion, you're thickening the pad as you would your hand if you were doing a lot of grip work. And now you're gonna develop the hypertrophy in the bottom of your feet, which I have because I was told that this was one of the better exercises for flat feet. And it turns out that it has just made my feet thick and strong overall. It has given me thick feet, which is a good thing for many resistance training exercises. But I was going for raising my arch.
So it's helping create that arch.
The arch, yeah.
And then if
It doesn't help.
stage where it's bunched up and you can't.
It doesn't help. In fact, you would want to sweep it more inwards like this if it were to help. But because of the dominance of the big toe, you're going to end up pulling on an equal plane, pulling, and that does nothing but thicken your instep muscle.
I like this one.
Yeah, the goal is to do 5 full powers.
Now, you will feel an intense burn. You could probably even see that he is cramping up a little, but in terms of raising his instep, raising his arch, you see that he's not gaining any further control more than he had prior to this. So it's not doing that. In fact, you can see the whole midfoot is quite stiff. In no way is it actually engaging. So in this video, nothing much was happening. They experimented with a few techniques and really has made no difference in his foot position. What I would, if I could give it advice, it would be to engage in one, wearing minimal barefoot shoes, walking barefoot more, and also if he wants to target specifically in raising his arch on a machine which allows for the full eccentric position. To stretch the body, he should also sit on his feet, both with the toes dorsiflexed and with them plantar flexed. That will allow him to create the elongation in the muscles, so to speak, that will be necessary in order to fully articulate his feet. Well, what do I know about fixing flat feet? Well, I had flat feet, and while I do not have the aesthetic ideal of a high arch, I have taken my feet from being very lax in order to be fully supportive. They are no longer a hindrance to my performance, but an actual supporter of my performance. Hypercure, whatever fad they're selling you in the waiting room of your doctor's office, is not going to help. And in future videos, I'm going to show you responses that none of these treatments have actually had any benefit. In fact, during my research, I've seen more evidence of the surgery being a waste of money than anything else. And that also goes for the orthotics. This is a weakness problem. We can only fix this weakness problem not by throwing money at it in terms of dazzling treatments, but through actually strengthening the laxed muscles. Remember, there are over 2,000 nerve endings in the feet. They want to feel something. We, through conventional shoes with thick padding, have disconnected that sensory input. This is Grown and Healthy, the channel where we explore self-improvement through movement. Thanks for watching.